So in today's video, I'm going to be going through things you guys didn't know in the new Greenville update, and there is quite a lot of cool stuff to go through here. This is probably one of the biggest updates that we've ever gotten. But before you get into today's video, as always, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as you are now on the road to 20.1k subscribers. And yes, that is right, we did hit 20,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I honestly can't believe the support that we have been getting this year, and I honestly have no words to describe how thankful I am. But for everyone who is new to my channel from this year, thank you all so much for deciding to support me on this journey, and honestly, it means the world to me. And yeah, for those guys who would like to show my Discord server as well, that is in the description below for those guys who want to save to all my future content and all Greenville's update information. But anyways, let's get straight into the video. So starting off with number one here, the first one is that there are actually beehives around the expansion area of the map. So the way how you find these is by going up the first path right here, and I do only know the location of one of them so far, but I'm going to show you guys it right here. So basically you go up this path right here, and then you go up the other one as well right here, and then you're going to reach this area. So you can probably just park up your car right here more or less, and then go up this little area, and you'll see on this specific tree right here, right behind where my car is, there is a beehive hanging on the tree. There are also little bees that sort of fly out of it, which is kind of cool. But something interesting is that it actually does deal damage to you when you touch it, as you guys can clearly see, and it also shakes around on the tree too, which is very cool. So yeah, it's actually very interesting to say the least. Little cool addition there. I'm gonna stop touching it before I die though. Also, one that was in the changelogs but a lot of people didn't really notice is that rain actually now is more like slippery on your car. So if you're just like simply driving on the road now, it's a lot harder to keep your, handling as smooth as normal. I sort of think of it as like how sometimes during Christmas updates and whatnot, they add the roads to be icy, so they're harder to drive on, and it's kind of similar to that in a way. Obviously, cars with better traction, you will notice it a lot less, but for a lot of cars, it will be very hard to drive normally. So yeah, it's very minute, but very cool addition in my opinion. Definitely brings some more realism to the game. Next up here is that in the new update, a new car was actually added that is a hydrogen vehicle, and this is the new 2023 Vision Primer Aqua Cell, which does thankfully mean that the hydrogen charging station over at the gas station does now function again. Next up is one that is back over at the new camp location, and this is actually that if we drive all the way up the hill right here and get up to where the outpost is located, you can actually see a closed fence right here. Now what some players may notice is that, as you guys can see, I can't really drive through this normally right here unless you turn off AEB, which you actually can, but otherwise you actually have to go up to it, and then you'll notice that you can actually interact with it to open up the gate. And this is a super cool but small detail at the same time, and I remember seeing this when the update first came out, and I was kind of just amazed with it, to be honest, because I did not expect that to actually be a thing. But yeah, so that does actually work, and it is very cool in my opinion. The next thing is that over at the farm over here next to 6 houses, there was actually a new fence added, which yeah, this is a very small but kind of noticeable addition right here. As you guys can see, this fence is completely new from my knowledge. Additionally, this one is kind of well known, but they did actually remodel every single barn in the game to look different, which is very cool, and this might be hinting towards some sort of new farming update that we could be getting sometime soon. Obviously that is purely just suspicion, but who knows, honestly. Regardless, it's still very cool. Now, as you guys notice on this new Western Motors vehicle, the icon on the tire cover looks like this currently, and it looks like this for every single trim that this thing has. However, you're actually technically able to kind of change it, but you're really only able to change it to one different thing, but I'm going to show you guys real quick. So entering into the DMV right here, and then clicking new frame, and then going to branding, and then clicking the Ron Rivers auto group plate frame, and then if you just change that, then you will notice that although yes, currently the icon still looks like this, if I respawn the vehicle in, you guys will see that if I go around the back here, the icon actually changes to the Ron Rivers auto group logo. And to say the least, this is probably one of the weirdest sort of Easter egg slash vehicle additions that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I honestly don't even know how anyone found this out, but I mean, hey, I guess it is a thing, to say the least. And yeah, it's pretty cool in my opinion too, so I guess you could sort of see this as like the Ron Rivers branded vehicle. I don't know. Now heading back over to the 6 houses farm again, a lot of you guys may remember that these chickens actually used to deal damage to you when you touch them, but now they actually don't. And I don't know if this was like an intentional change from the devs. I'm assuming it was probably just because of the barns being remodeled though, and I'm guessing they probably did something to the chickens that removed their code to be able to deal damage to you. I mean, it's not a big one, but it is still quite interesting, since that's been a feature for years now. Also, one that's actually on a good note is that this is the first update in a while that didn't actually have any off-sale cars in it, so hopefully this kind of marks the end more or less of Greenville getting DMCA'd. Obviously there is a chance that it could happen again in the future, but I do honestly believe that it has sort of calmed down now. Obviously I could be completely wrong, and I could have just jinxed it. But now a very cool one here that I actually only found out about after the update drop is that there's actually a quote-unquote secret trim for the new Ford F-150. So if we go and buy it right here in the dealership, you guys will see here with the 2023 Falcon Advance, if we just click on that, then there's actually a trim here that is called the Palladium, or however you say that, off-road camper optional. And as you guys can see, it actually adds like a little camper at the back of your truck, and I have to say, this thing honestly looks sick. Like not only is this thing great for roleplay purposes, but all in all, it just is a super cool vehicle to drive around. And I'm honestly surprised that Greenville didn't make it more known that this thing is actually in the game now, because although a decent amount of people know about this now, there is still a good chunk of of people who have no clue that this thing even exists. But yeah, all in all, it's a very interesting vehicle, and hopefully we do see more stuff like this in the near future. If only you could actually sleep inside of it, that would be even better, but for now at least, this is still pretty sick. Furthermore, this one is kind of a no-brainer, but you know, in this update, Greenville did actually add a Renault vehicle, which is technically a real-life vehicle. So this is the first time that we've gotten a new real-life vehicle in Greenville for, you know, months on end now. So even though at face value it is definitely kind of like a smaller, you know, real-life vehicle to add, to even have a real-life vehicle in the game at this point that is newly added, it's definitely a bit of a treat to say the least. Also, a very, very interesting one here is that the Dodge Chargers were actually remodeled, and the only reason why they were actually remodeled is because that this was actually the last car that Greenville finished remodeling before they announced that they were switching to fictional vehicles. So they've essentially had this vehicle ready to be released into the game for literal months now, but due to everything that went on with all the fictional car stuff, they weren't really focused on adding this thing in. But now, as I guess like a sort of final farewell to, you know, real cars being added to Greenville, they've decided to actually add this in finally. And yeah, this will unfortunately be the last ever, you know, technically real car remodel that we ever get, which does kind of suck, but at least the GV devs did decide to go out of their way to add this thing despite everything. Also, something in regards to the new campsites that were added is a lot of people didn't actually know how to unclaim them, and some people still don't know how, so I'm going to show you guys how to do it right here. So if we actually claim a plot, so for example, I'm going to get this one with the tent and whatnot, then you guys will see there is no visible way for me to be able to unclaim this area, which, you know, to say the least isn't very intuitive, but there is actually a way to do it. So let me just get into my car right here, and all you literally have to do is pretty much walk or drive away from your plot, and essentially once you get a certain distance away from it, then you will ultimately notice that it says camping spot unclaimed. You have unclaimed your camp spot, and yeah, that's essentially all there is to that. Also, now switching over to the Huntsy's Pizza Palace worker job, there was actually a new vehicle added to this, which is the new Geo Metro, and this thing was added to the job for completely free. As you guys can see, it's a very detailed beta trim as well. It's actually super funny looking in my opinion. And then also another Easter egg that's linked into this vehicle is that, as you guys can see on the rear right wheel, it does actually wobble around when you drive, which is super funny, and it's extremely noticeable too. I like, you don't even know how this thing is still functioning, but yeah, this is definitely probably one of the most funny and detailed beta cars that we've gotten in Greenville so far. Also, a very small one, but one that pretty much no one, I don't think, has actually pointed out, is that the charging station inside of this new Renault area is actually based on a real electric charger, which is called the Mobilize charger. And as you guys can see, there it is right there. It looks completely accurate to how it does in game. Very small detail, but it's still pretty cool in my opinion. Yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, because we are on the road to 20.1k subscribers. Once again, thank you guys so much for 20k. It's honestly insane to me that we were able to achieve it that fast, so I honestly can't thank you guys enough for it. And then also for those guys who like to join my Discord server, that is in the description below, for those guys who would like to stay up to date with all my future content and all Greenville's update information. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.